Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to discuss funding your account and how much you need in order to trade properly. And we're going to discuss everything from borrowing money in order to fund your account to FTMO, which is basically a funding scheme that funds traders and then they split the profits. So just to start off with the most important point, which is you should start where you are. You should never be discouraged by seeing people with like $10,000 accounts, $5,000 accounts. You should start where you are. If where you are is $100, $500, that's not the point. The point is that you must be consistent and you must start where you are. And on point number 9, I'm going down from the bottom to the top, the most important points. Things like borrowing money. The risk with borrowing money, especially when you're new in trading, is that things can go south very easily and you could lose all of someone's credit and then you'll have a huge debt, and then you're also learning how to trade and then you have someone's huge debt. So I would recommend you wouldn't do that. And then the problem with schemes like FTMO is that, and the reason why I'm not a fan of it, is that you pay a fee in order to participate in the challenge. So say it's 250. You pay in order to participate in the challenge, and then they pay you similar to what like a salary would be. But what you're not seeing is that you lack ownership. You would rather be the person responsible for your own account, so you can trade, you can hold on trades over the weekends. You can also trade whatever pairs you want to, and on news events. So with a lot of these schemes, I know Axi Trader has a scheme like that. I know FTMO has a scheme like that where they fund traders and then they share the profits. The problem with that is that they have a lot of regulations that you wouldn't have if you owned your own account. So even if your account was smaller, the fact that you own your own account, you can trade during news events. A lot of those schemes don't allow you to trade during those events, and a lot of them don't allow you to hold trades over weekends, some not even allowing you to hold trades over long periods of time. So really think about that and your ownership. And another thing that usually happens that a lot of people don't talk about is that they end up having problems with paying out their traders on time. So there you are, paying for these schemes where you put in 250 and then you're going to split the profits. And then what tends to happen is after a long period of time, they struggle to pay out the profits. I've even seen some people who said they've struggled to get their money back. So you want to think about that. And it depends on the broker, really, how much your broker. Some say a buck is the starting point to deposit. Some say it's 5, some say it's 10. I'd be very careful of like brokers who have lower deposits. Hear me correctly. I'd be very cautious of brokers which have low deposits. I would rather you go for something like Ava Trade, which has a bit of a higher deposit, which is like 500. And the reason for that is that if you're going to deposit and you're really, really serious about treating it as a business and risking 1% of your account, it means you've most likely saved up enough money to risk management properly. With these other accounts that allow you to start off with lower balances, they know you're not going to do much risk management on a $10 account. You're trying to double, triple, and quadruple your account. And so realistically, if you keep doing that, you'll realize that you'll keep depositing 100, 2, 3, and you'll keep depositing bit by bit and blowing and depositing, blowing, depositing, blowing, depositing, blowing. And you'll realize that it will actually add up to the amount you would have needed in order to start an account, a proper account that you can manage your risk properly. Next point is I would recommend that you would start off with a K. Now that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but most people that I've asked some of my friends who've been in this game for long periods of time, and they would actually say 5K. Now I would agree with them, but that also depends on context. And since we're in Africa, I wouldn't say that like 5K is easily accessible to everyone. And considering that the person I was asking actually borrowed that 5K from his bank, so I wouldn't compare yourself to him. But and another thing why the person I asked would recommend 5K was because the higher your deposit, the less you're going to want to over leverage and over risk, which is something which is very popular, which is that people have low balances, so then they think the solution is to over leverage and to over risk, which isn't the solution. Come Into My Trading Room talks a bit about this, and that's where I got the 1K recommendation from. It's because he talks about your deposit as a pilot. Think of a pilot flying, and so your deposit is basically the distance between the plane you're flying and the trees. So the lower you are to those trees, the higher your risk of actually crashing and hitting a tree. So you want to give yourself a healthy distance between the trees and the forest, and then you flying, right? You don't want to be flying down here where you're constantly hitting trees and crashing, and then getting up again, hitting trees, crashing. You want to glide at a reasonable height. And don't try to flip a low account into a really high account. We're going to get into some of the solutions for that. And the way of the turtle actually talks about this, and he was saying the closer you get to 100% returns, your chances of blowing up are exponentially higher. I did talk about Way of the Turtle and the exact graphs on what point of returns, percentage returns, you actually risk blowing your account. I think it was actually around about close to 60-70% returns. You're looking at over 90% chance of you blowing your account. Think about that. Like getting a 60-70% return and you're 90% closer to blowing your account. Don't try flip accounts, it never ends well. Let's talk about no deposit accounts. I think those are really great. Like if you're really starting out and you want to flip accounts and you want to double and triple accounts, take a no deposit account. They offer like $35, some $50, even some $100. I don't know if FBS is still offering those $100 accounts. I know a lot of people who use those, so like they're great. I started off with one. I started off with equities and stocks, so I used one of those, and I just constantly try to flip it and flip it and flip it, which brings me to the next point on why you should have two accounts. You should have one account with a healthy account balance, right? Say you have a K in there, you have 5K in there. On that account, you have proper risk management, and you never risk more than 1%. You will never risk. And then you have a smaller account where you have like $20, $15. That is essentially the account you gamble on. Like, it's good to have an account like that, so you essentially get all your gambling nature out. Because anyone who tells you that you shouldn't gamble, you shouldn't have a gambling nature, is actually lying to you. There's a research that was done. It was actually in one of the documentaries I was watching, and they were saying that whenever psychologists took a group of people and they made them play games involving money, and they realized that the areas of their brain that glowed up, this was based on like Wall Street traders. The area that blew up on the monitor where they were monitoring their brain activity was the same part that was activated with cocaine use. So realistically, traders do have a gambling nature. So the best way to get rid of that is to have a second account where you have $10, $20, and you flip and flip and flip, and then whatever you want to buy from that is what you use. You use that money, and then once you use that small account, and then you quadruple it or whatever it is, you use that to also fund your safe account. So you use the profits from that to fund your safe account. Another thing is you should regularly deposit into your account. So even if you start off small, it's great to always put in $100, $200 where you can. Whenever you can, deposit into that account, keep depositing into that account. And so just to put things into perspective, if you start off with $100 in your account, these are US dollars, you start off with $100 and you deposit $10 every month, so like 100 rands. So you have $100 in your account and you deposit 100 rands every single month. By the end of December, you've essentially doubled your account without adding any risk and without blowing up. And so you see the power of depositing. And then when you start adding your profits from your gambling account, the small account, the one you really don't follow risk management, and you add that to it, you're essentially growing your main account without adding risk. Thanks, guys.